You may start.
Is everyone able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't believe we've been moved into the interpretation room yet.
Okay. And Vice Chair Millhouse and Chair Smith, I do have up a lot of documentation to be able to do the roll call of officers as well as take notes for our meeting for tonight.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. The time is now 7:06 p.m. and I would like to call to order the December 4th, 2024 Parent and Community Advisory Council meeting. The purpose of this meeting is for the committee to discuss what we hope to accomplish as an advisory council. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the PGCPS board webpage for the public to review. Ms. Wilson, can you please call the roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Rebecca Brown.
Present. Here.
Sharice Holden. Sharice Holden. Reverend Dr. Alina Huggins. Carletta Lundy.
Present.
Myshera Durden, and my apologies if I mispronounce anyone's name.
I'm present. I'm present.
Latonza Wilson, I am present. Halen Lobo Correas.
Presente.
Christopher Smith.
Good afternoon, present.
Akimbra Lawrence.
Good evening, present.
Teresa C. Smith.
Present.
That was Chair Teresa C. Smith. Vice Chair Dolores Millhouse.
Present.
Yosaida Hinton.
Present.
Sade Davis.
Present.
Dr. Sheila Jackson.
Present.
Robin Welsh.
Present.
Quincy Boyd.
Those are the liaisons, Ms. Wilson. You don't have to, they don't count towards quorum.
Okay, I had them kind of broken out. The three liaisons, the administrative assistant, and the board office director, and then also the interpreters.
Yes.
So I have a total of 14 PCAC members, voting PCAC members present, 2 absent. So quorum has been met.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Thank you all for being present and engaged in the meeting this evening. I am Teresa Smith, chair of our council, and I also represent District 6. I want to say happy holidays to everyone. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. I'm not sure if most know, but yesterday was International Day of Persons with Disabilities. And one interesting fact that I read about today is that some people with disabilities die up to 20 years earlier than those without disabilities. So I encourage you today to extend a little grace when you encounter someone with a disability. Lastly, I saw that the state has issued the 2023-24 data related to the school report cards, which measures student achievement in all 24 districts. So consider taking a moment to review the published information. And then lastly, I would like to mention that if there is any discussion on an agenda item, or if a motion is placed on the floor, please announce your name for the record once you have been acknowledged. Moving on to the next agenda item, adoption of the meeting agenda. Are there any objections to adopting the December 4th, 2024 agenda? Hearing none, the meeting agenda has been approved. Approval of the meeting minutes. Are there any objections to approving the minutes from the November 6th, 2024 meeting? Hearing none, the meeting minutes are approved. Report of the PCAC chair. So the last couple of months, we've been informing you guys about the 5th annual PGCPS Family Institute Conference. Well, we attended. Vice Chair Millhouse and myself led a discussion about how you can be partners in education. Parents had an opportunity to share with us about concerns that they faced trying to be a partner, and this created an opportunity for PCAC to connect further, share information, and help parents navigate the resources that we have available here within our district. Then on November 14th, Vice Chair Millhouse and I attended the Family Institute night session, and we presented on policies and procedures. I think it was fruitful discussion. Families were better informed about information that governs the activities that occur within our schoolhouses. On November 20th, the calendar committee chair shared with us the proposed drafts for the 2025 school year calendar. Everyone should have already received a survey to provide input on option A and option B. The survey closes on December 18th, 2024. I'll highlight what the differences and the similarities are. As far as the differences, the length of winter break is 8 days in draft A, 10 days in draft B. The number of professional development days is 4 in draft A, 3 in draft B. And then the last day of school it's being proposed for Thursday, June 11th in draft A or June 12th in draft B. As far as the similarities, 6 days of professional development, and then the first day of school on Tuesday, August 26th. So again, if you would like to provide any input, your opportunity is to do so via the survey that was issued on November 22nd, and it closes on December 18th. On December 12th, I will be attending the next meeting with the Community Schools District Steering Committee. And then lastly, I am trying to coordinate with the board member's office for a possible PCAC meet and greet session. I'm not certain if we'll be able to have a retreat just yet. And then I'm also trying to see if there's any training available regarding Robert's Rules of Order and the Opens Meetings Act, since we have new members to the council. This concludes the chair's report. Are there any questions? Hearing none. We will now have the report of the superintendent designees. The chair recognizes Dr. Jackson.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I shared my PowerPoint. Oh, good. Thank you, Muriel. And if she'll just click through it, I just decided to do in writing so that you all can have a copy on it. So next slide. Just to let everyone know that my department is a member of the Division of Communications. And so I work very closely with that team. And so I always like to report out on some of the things that are happening across the system from that umbrella of communications. So these are the things that will be focused on in that division in December. The report cards will be released. We have deadlines for any families that are interested in applying for their children to be in specialty programs. The tag lottery opens, as you'll see. That date is listed there. This is also budget season, so our superintendent will be submitting his budget proposal for the next school year to the Board of Education, and I believe it's this week. So please tune in to the Board of Education meeting. My office is leading an update of one of the administrative procedures in the school system that guides staff work around systemic family engagement. And so every office that has anything to do with family engagement initiatives in the school system is working on that AP, and it will be shared with Mrs. Welsh and her team to be made public. And then the other thing that's coming up, you all heard that we might get some weather tonight or tomorrow. So the Division of Communications wants to make sure that everyone knows that the alert systems that are utilized, and if you don't have that now, please let me know. We'll make sure that you get that information. There's a series of colors and codes that we use to inform families. And then, of course, winter break is coming up, and this year we have a 2-week break period. So lots of people, I know the children are excited about being out for 2 weeks, but they also are going to have packets that they bring home for activities that they can do to, again, keep themselves engaged and ready to come back to school. Please click again. And then some big things that are going to be on the calendar for this month, Computer Science Education Week, and of course our holidays and celebrations of Christmas, Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa are acknowledged. And as I already said, that 2-week winter break that we're all excited about. Next slide, please. Just to let you know, our last session for Family Institute for the fall will be this Thursday, and it'll be led by our Division of Student Services, who has been compiling to share with all families all of the free resources available to support families that are under the auspices of Prince George's County Public Schools. It's going to be an exciting session so that you can learn more about what are some of the things that you can reach out to or that you can inform other families about that are resources that can help them better help and support their children. So that's for the fall. And I also put on this slide the numbers that have participated in the virtual sessions. These are what we do virtually. However, across our schools, there are ongoing parent leadership workshops going on, parent information nights going on, and every school is keeping a log of those sessions as well. We want to make sure that we provide as many opportunities to engage families as possible in every building. Next slide. The spring sessions for Family Institute will be published prior to winter break because they start right when we come back in January. And so we're excited that we're confirming all of those sessions that will go all the way through the end of May so that we can publish that big calendar, well, again, right at the beginning of the new year. Next slide. And then just some updates of other things that are happening in our department. we are so fortunate that in our district, we now have 103 parent engagement assistants across 99 schools. Some of our schools have more than one parent engagement assistant based upon the size of the school, and we're excited about that model because those schools are using their student-based budgeting funds to hire that additional person so that they can have more effective outreach in engaging families. We're running parent cafes, which is that intimate conversation that is facilitated that parents can talk about any concerns they have or support that they need in being effective parents. We're having dadversities every week across the district, and those are sessions for father engagement or male uh, uh, role model engagement in education. Our quarterly conversation for the second quarter will be held on January 13th, and you all will receive an invitation to that. Our summit for LGBTQIA+ will be on May 31st this year, leading into June's Pride Month celebrations. And then we are also spearheading within our department monthly alumni recognitions that are just going to be published on our school system website. We have so many alumni that continually give back to Prince George's County Public Schools, and we want to let the whole community know who they are and what they're doing. In the community and business partnership side of the house, we have, they are rapidly building additional partnerships that are willing to invest not only their time, but their funds to increase activities and support of our students in the school system. We have community entities that have adopted our schools. Of our 205 schools now, the majority of them have been adopted by a business or a community partner. And we're really excited about that because it's them agreeing to give their time to come in and read or to help with building beautification. A lot of different projects are going on. And then ongoing volunteer training and onboarding happens through our department with the support of our wonderful colleague, Robin Welsh, to make sure that we're doing things right. We want to make sure that all of our volunteers are thoroughly screened and trained to be able to support our children. And then the last big thing that's happening is our office has been charged to establish the Teacher of the Year process. Every year, Prince George's County Public Schools recognizes from a pool of teachers, a teacher who's nominated, selected, and then forwarded to Maryland for hopefully winning the Maryland State Teacher of the Year process as well. So I think that was it. Yes, you please don't hesitate to reach out to me or call me if you have any questions or anything that I can help you with. And it looks like Ms. Millhouse, you have a question.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. So when you mentioned, so kudos to you all beginning to revise AP procedure 4217. Kudos.
Hadn't been updated since 2008 when I did it the first time. So
Yeah.
I'm so happy
Yeah.
that we're doing it.
So that is exciting because that was a part of the recommendation of the report that we said, that we submitted as PCAT. So that's very interesting to hear and exciting. The question that I have is, I heard you state that once all of the departments who have anything to do with engagement will then send it forward, and I'm assuming that they will send it forward to policy, the policy committee. Is that what? I mean, because that doesn't go to the policy committee, because AP.
It will leave my hands and go to my chief, who will take it forward to the policy committee. So we do the legwork and then it moves forward.
So APs don't go through policy committee, do they?
Robin, where does it go?
So it actually comes to my office.
Yeah.
So we do a review of the policy of the AP, and we're looking at it from a compliance standpoint to ensure that it aligns with the policy. And is written clearly so that people know how to follow it and know what to do. And then from there, it also goes to Office of General Counsel where they do a legal review on it. And once it's gone through those two reviews and has been cleaned up and everything, then it goes to Mr. House and he must approve it. And then it has to go back to the board for them just to ensure that the policy, that the AP is aligned with the policy. And once I know it's in their hands, then I send it to communications to post it.
Okay, so so there where my question lies, there is no opportunity for community input. So the question is, as now that PCAC is in place, right? How do we as parent and community members, because as I'm looking at it when you were presenting, I mean, it's very heavily based on Title I framework, right? Which is great because it's a good framework for engagement. And then the Elementary Secondary Education Act, right? Which is dated. But how do we as parent partners, community partners, you know, get to provide some feedback to this engagement policy that clearly is about parent, family, and community involvement in schools, to give our perspective on it from an advisory standpoint?
So the policy itself is not, it does mention ESEA and the Title I requirements. However, it's a very broad policy that addresses probably every aspect of it, of parent engagement that you can possibly think about. And that is, so the AP, if you look at it, the current AP, it is heavily, has a lot of Title I and all that. The new procedure though, because the policy has changed significantly, the new procedure must align with that policy. So, and when it comes to me, I'll be checking to make sure Dr. Jackson and her group did align it to that policy. So your input comes through through the actual policy to ensure everything that you want to see happen is listed in that policy. And then we're coming in to check to make sure that the AP is in compliance with the policy and aligns with it. And I have to tell you, we have many times sent APs back to the division or department that's working on it to say, no, I don't know where you got this information, but it doesn't align with the policy. And so that's the whole purpose. So it is the input that the community provides for the policy that then drives the AP.
Right. No,
The
I understand
the
that.
AP is the work of the staff.
No,
So
I
that's
get
why
that.
it's driven by the people
The
who
policy.
actually have to do the work. So
Right.
when when parents and community give input to the policy and the policy is approved, the administrative procedure is then written to tell staff what they must do to meet the policy.
That's good.
Right. Right. And I think that was great for the broader group to have that understanding. I understand that. My question is, from what I hear you all saying, right? Because PCAC, we just got in, all of the members are now in place, right? And unfortunately, I'm quite sure a lot of people did not have whatever input at that time for the policy that aligns with AP 4217 as it relates to parent and family engagement, right? So the question, I get what you all are doing from an administrative side. The question still stands, is there any way that PCAC could provide some advisory input as it relates to the procedure that is written? Because what happens is we are impacted by the procedure that may or may not be followed. Not really the policy, but the procedures that are followed that the administrative side of the house are supposed to adhere to. So that's the question. And I don't know if that needs to kind of go back and you all need to mull that over. But then the other question is the dadversities. Are they only held at schools who have a parent engagement assistant?
No, actually, any school that would like to have one requested through my office. And so we work with them to establish a calendar and get the staff there to help run that for them.
Okay, so it has to be initiated by the schoolhouse
Yeah.
in order for it to happen.
Well, I will say it can be initiated by parents, but they have to have it approved by the principal of the school for us to do it.
Okay, so, okay. So can a parent organization say, hey, we're bringing our dads together? Does it happen during school hours? Because I hear about it, but I don't see it advertised, and I'm just very interested because I think this is something that is great, but how do we make sure that everybody knows about it and is taking advantage of such a great opportunity for our dads?
Absolutely. I can actually, if it's okay with you all, I can bring Mr. Ortiz. He's my project manager for it. It's usually a 5-week series of courses that the fathers go through, although mothers come too often. And in that 5-week period, they talk about the whole range of father engagement, from again, I'll let Mr. Ortiz explain it because it's a very thorough program that they run. But it does require a 5-week commitment for fathers because they actually graduate from it when they're done.
And I appreciate that because I'm involved, I'm engaged, and I've just not seen it at any of my schools, nor heard any of the leadership talk about it or present it to the parent groups to say, hey, are you all interested in, we can, bring the engagement team in to do this dadversities. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Ms. Millhouse. Mr. Smith?
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jackson, for sharing the information. And just wanted to kind of further put a second sentiment on Vice Chair Millhouse points to regarding diversity and also input on the AP as well. Dr. Jackson, the last meeting you shared that you may be able to share with us, like the parent contact information for the groups at each school that you may have handy, that your office may handy.
Yes, absolutely. And I know that it's still not finished yet because many schools have still not responded, but I can get the information to Ms. Barton because what we do is break the database down by your district, by school districts, and we share it by your school district. So I can definitely do that. And you'll see where the gaps are. Many schools have opted to either do what they call parent clubs, parent advisory groups. They may not have a formal PTA or PTO, but it's really the will of the community is what we support them to do. But yes, thank you so much for reminding me of that, Mr. Smith.
Yes.
As you know, last month was that Big Family Institute conference, so I apologize for missing that.
No worries. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
This is Akimbra Lawrence. I just had a question, Dr. Jackson. Thank you again for sending out that information about the parent-led organizations at each school in the districts. How are you all collecting? I heard you say that some schools hadn't responded or you don't. So is there a survey? Like, how is that information being collected to find out what is at each of the schools?
So we, under the auspices of the superintendent, start in September of every year, sending a spreadsheet to principals to fill out, and we always say principal or principal designee. If a school has a PEA, a lot of times those PEAs do it for the principal. Community schools also help us. But it's not just the principal. We go all the way up the chain and say, hey, this is important. Our Board of Education needs this information. Our parent leaders need this information from PCAC. And I'm often a little disappointed that it takes so long for us to get all of this data together. But my team actually is calling and visiting schools right now, the ones who have not responded, because we want to make sure that we all have that information. Whatever your parent organization is, it needs to be publicized so that the community knows what's in each building. So I will make sure. And the person on my team that actually leads that work is April Shannon. And I know we just had a meeting today and she was giving me an update on the ones that she's visiting right now because they still haven't responded.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. We'll wrap this up. I just had 2 questions for you. The first one is related to the break. You mentioned that the students will have work packets, but I was interested in knowing whether or not there's any information for families regarding mental health services during that time. And then my second question is about the parent cafes. I saw that they're hosted twice a week. Where are those done at? How do parents
So,
participate?
so again, those are requested by schools. So the schools, and we always encourage any school that has asked us to do this, to also invite neighboring schools. So there's not just that one school. We just had like at Glen Ridge, and Glen Ridge invited the other schools around them to participate as well. So I will, look, I've delegated as much as I can. So that's a Winsome Falvey task. And I will ask her for the calendar so that I can share that calendar. I can share the Dadversity calendar with you all as well, so that you'll know where they're happening.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then the Hazel Health piece.
Yes, I will look into that so that I can get you information on that, because usually they do have something that they offered during the winter break. That is a very important period to make sure that families know they can get support. So I'll reach out to Dr. Elizabeth Faison
Great.
and give you an update on that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I see one other question, Ms. Hilton.
Yes, I just wanted to add to that Miss Shannon, April,
Yes.
she sent an invitation for December the 12th, and it's in multiple languages, and it is about mental health, and it's like a link. And I asked her if that was to share with parents, and she told me yes. So she sent it out.
Oh, that's for this coming Thursday session. You're absolutely correct. That's Family Institute on December 12th. Yep. And so, and the people running that session are from our Division of Student Services, and they will be talking about the mental health opportunities that they have as well. So thank you, Ms. Hinton, for
Yes.
that.
All right, great, guys. Thank you for sharing. Looking forward
I
to,
will send that calendar invite to you all too, so that because in that calendar invite are all the flyers translated and an overview of what will be offered this Thursday.
awesome. Thank
I
you.
mean, not this Thursday, next Thursday. Sorry.
And Chair Smith, can I just add that they did a testing session yesterday, which was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. It was testing 101. And so I know it's coming, that there's going to be another session at the winter break.
They agreed to do it in May because my schedule was already full for Family Institute. So I think it's going to be on May 6th, but I will share that with you all as well. And we will be posting the video and the PowerPoint from yesterday. Oh, gosh, Ms. Millhouse, it was just last night.
I'm sorry.
From last night. That should be up by Monday. So.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Very fruitful discussion with Dr. Jackson's report. The chair recognizes Ms. Welsh.
Okay. So first, in terms of policies that are coming up for discussion for the Policy and Governance Committee can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Committee on Tuesday, the December 10th. There's four policies that will be up for a discussion. It is the information material and announcements policy, which is really distribution of materials. Community schools policy is coming up for review again, the transfer of funds policy, and then community involvement in the principal selection process, because we did receive some more public comment regarding that particular policy. So the committee is going to go back and review that policy, review the comments and look at the policy and make decisions on any changes to that policy. So those will all be discussion policies, but just to let you know that there is a good number of policies that are going to move forward to the board as a recommendation for public comment. But since that meeting is on the 10th, it will then show up for the January board meeting where they will send it out. So in January, there'll be announcements made to receive people's public comments on the following policies. The one is developing curriculum documents for instructional programs in elementary and secondary schools. Another one is possession and use of alcohol and drugs on school grounds. Another one is purchasing. Another one is automated external defibrillators. Then the next one is evaluating the superintendent of schools. And then there are a couple that will be rescinded. And there'll be a recommendation, it'll be out for public comment. One is the number of members and terms of office, which is on the board, which used to be a bylaw. And actually, if you look at it, it just says it's this many board members that's on the board. So it's not, that really doesn't say much. So that's one's going to be rescinded, as well as 9310, which is adoption of policies. They're going to go out for public comment to have that rescinded because the other policy they have, 9340, really does address it. And then 9330, adoption and amendment of administrative procedures, is also coming up for public comment for rescission. So those they will be coming out at the January board meeting. So please, keep your eyes open. And I don't know the date, but we might have the PCAC meeting before the first PCAC meeting of the year before they have their board meeting. And if so, I will definitely remind everyone about making sure that they, this is an opportunity to provide public comment, because the board does, the policy committee really does pay attention to comments that they're receiving, take them very seriously. So I think that is really critical. The other thing I wanted to bring to attention for all PCAC members, and hopefully help have representatives from each of the districts be engaged in this conversation and with their districts, has to do with revisions of the policy, which is called student use of social media and portable electronic devices in the schools. So the Board of Education last spring revised that policy. It was two separate policies. One had to do with social media and one had to do with portable electronic devices, which is your cell phones for students. And they did combine those two policies into one, mainly because where most of the social media abuses comes from the use of cell phones in the schools. And they put the two together. And so it's a new policy. It was effective July 1. But in the meantime, the county council passed a resolution asking the Board of Education to go back and revise the policy to ban all cell phones in schools. So this is, and I'm sure you've heard it from other counties, like on the news in different counties across the country. There's been this whole conversation of cell phones in schools, and it's a controversial topic in many ways. Oftentimes it can be disruptive to the classroom, especially if a student's supposed to have their cell phone put away and they don't put it away, and then there has to be lots of conversation to get the cell phone away. It also, the reason the board combined social media with portable electronic devices was because of the fact that there's a major connection between social media and bullying and a lot of negative things for students. And there's also been a connection even in terms of suicide for, high school students or teenagers, I should say, as it relates to if they've been bullied or, things that they end up reading on social media. And so from a mental health perspective, the board felt it's important to restrict the use of the cell phones. So the board did not say no cell phones at all, but what it did say was that that policy number, just so you know, if you want to look it up on the website, is policy number 5180. And that policy number, that policy actually addresses the fact that first of all, cell phones should not be, they can be used on the way to school and on the way home on the bus. But once you're coming to school, you're getting off the bus and you're getting in school, then they need to turn it off. And that it can be used for instructional purposes. Now, prior to COVID, when we didn't have one-on-one devices, Many times the teacher would allow students to pull their cell phone up because they did activities that were available only electronically. And now, of course, they do it on their one-to-one device that they get, through the school system. But they still keep that as an option. And then this particular policy says that the school principal or designee may allow additional times for students to use portable electronic devices at school in approved designated areas. So the reason they went with that was because of the fact that different communities have different standards and different ways of how they want to deal with things. So in one community, one school district or whatever might say, oh, we want to have our children have the cell phones available, during the day. Another one might say, no, we don't. So it was giving the principal the authority to make that decision for the school, for their particular school. And so what the county is asking that there's just a straight ban and you cannot use them once you get on school property. What we do know is that there are parents though that are very concerned about their children not being able to communicate with their children. Or also another concern is that we've heard is that parents are concerned because of the fact that, let's say if there were an active shooter, they could be texting or, letting someone know. The system itself has in place communication set up with the local police and everything. If there were an active shooter, and sometimes communicating with parents and letting them know causes parents to be more, they'll come to the school and everything. And during an event like that, right as it's happening, the last thing we need our parents there when we really need to have the police there, paying close attention and doing what they need to do within the school to protect all the students and staff. But I understand the parents' concerns. So it is controversial, and the superintendent is right now is gathering information from a wide variety of groups, and PCAC is the one group that he would like to hear from in terms of if there's any consensus or any strong feelings one way or the other, because he will then have to share all that information with the Board of Education, and then the board will look at the possibility of revising their policy at the request of the county. So this is an opportunity for PCAC to really get involved and, if there are strong feelings, whatever, to be able to share those feelings about the cell phone policy and which way is the appropriate way to go in terms of cell phones. So it's a complex question because there's a lot of ways to look at it. So that is basically my report. is related to those policies, but the big one has been the cell phone policy.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Ms. Millhouse?
Yes, so just for clarity, you said 5180?
5180, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Welch, I had a question, but it's not about anything that you just reported. A couple of informed parents have approached me about documents that's generated at the school level that may conflict with regulations and even state laws. I was wondering, could you speak on how those documents are cleared and how parents can be advised if they notice that there's like this conflict in the information that's within the document?
So when you're saying documents, what kind of documents are they? You mean the school? First of all, are the school itself is sending out something, and what kind of documents are they sending out?
So I could give you a quick example there, and it's not a policy type document. There's a document for students who are in the SEED program that talks about their levels of participation in extracurricular activities. And it conflicts the way that the document is written up. It totally conflicts information within the Individuals with Disability Education Act. So I'm just kind of curious, when parents notice this, what type of guidance are we supposed to, if they're looking for guidance, what do we give them? But then the larger question is, how are these documents being cleared with this information that may conflict a regulation or a statute?
So first of all, I don't know that they've been cleared because if they are in violation of law or regulation or whatever, I mean, I don't know who would clear that. That's the first question. So I think what parents need to know is who can they go to bring up these concerns so that they can be looked into. And I would say actually they absolutely could call our office because we are always, looking at stuff like that. A part of our job is compliance and ensuring that schools are in compliance with the administrative procedures. So if something were to come up that definitely clash with that, as well as the Office of General Counsel, they always have someone on call that they could talk to if they called that office. Or if you do call our office, many, many times I confer with Office of General Counsel if something like that were to come up. And then we will follow up with the principal and usually the instructional director to let them know, this is, you can't be sending that out. Because I'm just curious, it might be that anyone, their supervisors or anyone else might not even realize that these things have been sent out. As it's not something that, and the principal themselves might not even realize that they sent something out that was not appropriate. They might be thinking, I don't know, that they're doing the right thing, when in reality, it really does clash with what the law requires or the regulations require.
Okay, great. Thank you. Dr. Jackson?
Hi, I was just going to chime in and support Robin. I get many of those calls, and I will do the same thing that Robin does, ask them the question, who cleared it to go out, and I will do some of that legwork. And oftentimes we will send it straight up the chain to make sure that it is in compliance with what should be said to families. A lot of times things are sent out and they haven't been approved by the instructional director, associate superintendent, definitely not legal. And so just encourage parents to always reach out to either Mrs. Welsh's office or to me so that we can help them, make sure they're getting accurate information.
Great, thank you. Ms. Millhouse?
Yeah, I just wanted to also, Miss Welsh and Dr. Jackson, make sure that I hear what you all are saying, but Dr. Jackson, like you said, it definitely, the people who also should be in the loop are the instructional director, the associate superintendent, and then the chief, if it needs to go that far, because it is in their wheelhouse that this is happening. And so, wouldn't they also need to be on that communication? Like if it came from the principal, like if the principal is the one who sent it out, then you're going to the instructional director, right? And letting the instructional director know along with you all. But wouldn't they also need to be included in, since it's happening under instruction and leadership's wheelhouse?
I will
I
just
think
say
it's
that the chain of concern is start, like you said, if the principal sent it out, then yes, the next person is the instructional director. It goes up the chain. But if it's legalese or something that needs to be looked at, it would definitely, or related to policy, it can be easily answered by Robin Welsh, and you might not have to even go through the instructional director. So you always have opportunities to get things resolved and addressed.
And it really depends on the nature of the item, because you're absolutely correct. There might be information that they're sharing about one of the specialty programs or something that's really not accurate. Then yeah, academic, that would be something that would be appropriate to ask someone in academics. However, if you're talking about, is this in alignment with law or regulation, then I think myself or Dr. Jackson would be appropriate to follow up with.
Oh, well, Miss Welsh, I'll be calling you on tomorrow.
Oh, please do.
I'll be calling you tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Are there any additional questions for Ms. Welsh? All right, hearing none. We'll move on to our next agenda item, and this is related to the PCAC bylaws. So the bylaws need to be reviewed so that we can submit our recommendations for revisions. Each of you should have already received a copy via email. Vice Chair Millhouse will lead the review, but we would like at least 3 other volunteers to help with this process. Do I have any?
Well, before we take, I just wanted to add some comment because policy 1500 was revised last school year. Ms. Welsh, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know it was a lot of discussion. So it was finally revised. And based on that revision, we want to make sure that our bylaws are also in alignment with the policy and also addressing any other gaps that we have noticed as we've now been in operation going into our second term.
Okay.
Thank you for that context. Mr. Smith, I saw you raise your hand real quick. Is
Yes,
that
I'm
a
available.
volunteer?
I'm available for the review.
All right, great, thank you. Ms. Lundy?
Yes, thank you. I raised my hand as well.
Oh, great, awesome. And then is this a third, Ms. Lawrence? Fabulous, you guys make this go very smoothly. I didn't have to beg and plead tonight.
Yes, and so I will be
Can you
reaching out.
repeat the name of the first volunteer, please?
Sure, it was Mr. Smith, Christopher Smith.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Sorry, Ms. Millhouse.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to let everyone know that I will be reaching out tomorrow so we can schedule some dates and time and talk about how we will begin to move forward because we will review the policy, we will review the bylaws. We are going to work to make recommendations that we are going to first submit to PCAC. And then once we have discussion review and they are approved by PCAC, then we will be able to move them forward. So we can have a discussion about how we want it to look, and meaning how we're going to meet, how we are going to draft, develop. And I will also share some of the neighboring school districts, parent and community organization bylaws that are in place.
Great, thank you.
That's good.
All right. Are there any announcements from any of the districts that are represented here today? The only item I have for District 6 is that this upcoming Saturday, from 10 until 1 p.m. at Largo High School is the next parent engagement session that's being led by Board Member Jackson. So the sign up sheet has gone, has been floated around. If parents signed up when the first session happened, you do not have to sign up for the second session to show up. Ms. Davis.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to say that the 5th District 9 Parent Community Summit will be Saturday, December 14th from 9 a.m. to noon at Accokeek Academy in the lower campus. And you can RSVP for that. Chair Lolita Walker, she has put out her flyer and sent out the emails, and the link is live to RSVP. That's it.
Awesome, thank you. Ms. Millhouse, I'm not sure if your hand is still up just from the last discussion item. Great. All right. Any additional updates from district representatives? Fabulous. So as far as next steps, Mariel, I actually have a question for you.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, excuse me, Chair. Did you
Yes.
want to hear from the community people?
Oh, I am so sorry, Ms. Lundy. Yes. If you have
Okay,
any
thank you.
updates to share.
Yes, hi. So, yeah, my name is Carletta Lundy. I am the Civic and Community Representative, and I want to first of all welcome all of our attendees who are here, and also to my colleagues on the council to help everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I have 3 pieces of legislation that I would like to share with the public, my colleagues, and Ms. Welch too. I'm sure she already is aware of these, but I wanted to bring these to everyone's attention. The Prince George's County House delegation has 3 pieces of legislation for 2025. The first is PG 50725. This is regarding Prince George's County Public Middle and High School drug detection products. The next piece of legislation is PG 40925. This is regarding Prince George's County income tax credit for employers providing parental engagement leave. The third piece of legislation is PG 41025. This is PG income tax credit for parent and guardian volunteers in elementary and secondary schools. If any of our parents or colleagues is interested in testifying, you can register to attend the hearing that will be held on Tuesday, December 10th at 6 p.m. in Largo, Maryland. And to submit your written testimony, you can also do oral testimony, but you can go to Linktree, linktr.ee /house delegation. I would have put it in the comments, but I don't see anywhere to put anything in the comments. So I don't know if we could do that going forward so the public can have information if the council has anything to put in the comment section. Or you can reach out to me, the civic and community representative, at 240-603-4193. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lundy. Are there any questions? Ms. Millhouse?
Yes, Ms. Lundy, thank you for that. I just wanted to add, the last day to register is this Friday, correct?
The
It's this
last day to register is
Friday.
December the 6th.
This Friday.
Friday.
Yep.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yep.
So I wanted to put that on Mrs. Welch's radar to please, I know she's already doing this, but just as a reminder to check the Prince George's County House delegation, because they do have legislation there regarding schools, education.
Yes. And Ms. Barton, I could send you that link if you can share with the PCAC members, and so they will have it. Because it's definitely important that you look at those pieces of legislation. And I'll just state it as that. You definitely need to read it to make sure how money is being spent well.
Thank you, Ms. Millhouse. Ms. Welch, would you about to say anything?
Oh, I was just going to confirm what Ms. Lundy said in terms of the fact that, yes, it is on our radar. But I'd also like to also support what Ms. Millhouse said, because one of the things we're very concerned about this upcoming school years, or this school year, are any unfunded mandates that are coming through, because at this point money's tight everywhere. The county council is going to be struggling with their budgets. The state is going to be struggling with its budget and commitments they've made through the blueprint, and so of course we are struggling to make ends meet, make it through. And unfortunately, if they put any, and we have this in our platform too, but if they put any unfunded mandates through, like the one on the drug detection stuff, it says all middle school and high schools will have all these drug detection types of things. Well, there's no money attached to that, which means then what we end up having to do is take money away from other programs, whatever, in order to meet that mandate. And so we'll be carefully looking at any piece of legislation that comes out where they are requiring the school system itself to fund those things, because it will definitely negatively impact the programs that are currently in place.
Thank you. Ms. Lundy, were you about to respond back to that?
I just wanted to have a follow-up. I definitely agree with what Ms. Welch is saying, and I wanted to put this to the chair and vice chair on some of these instances to support what Ms. Welch is saying, and to support our parents and our Board of Education. Did we want, as a collective, to submit something in writing with respect to that? Just as a recommendation.
I don't know if I could provide a response right now. Could I take this back and then follow up with you?
Sure, yeah, whether we are for or against, but if we're for, we have conditions.
Okay.
And we just want to make our position known. That's all.
Okay.
Thank
All
you
right,
so
thank
much.
you.
And thank you, Ms. Welch. Thank you, Chair Lewis.
Ms. Hilton?
Yes, I just wanted to say or ask if I can, like, can they provide that information to me? I would like to go to the hearing, and I also would like to know the number of the new legislation so I can research about them and sign up.
So Miss Barton is gonna send out the information to the distribution list for PCAG. So hopefully once you receive that, it should be easy to follow through to sign up for the hearing period as well as review the documents.
Thank you.
So just look out for her email.
Thank you.
Any additional questions or feedback? All right. Hold on one second. Dr. Huggins, or I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Do you have any updates for us? All right, hearing none. Ms. Brown, do you have any updates?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, sorry for the oversight earlier. Ms. Millhouse?
I'm sorry, and Rebecca, I'm also sorry, but I did see something on the PGCEA's, the Facebook page, requesting, they're having an event. I don't want to misspeak, because I don't remember the exact date, but they are looking for community input because negotiations are about to start. And so I did see something as it related to parent and community members input, and they are going to discuss some of the hot items that they will be bargaining. Is there any way that you can get that information so we can send it to PCAG?
Absolutely. I will get on that. I'm sorry for the oversight. I will absolutely 100% look into that. And
No oversight. It wasn't an oversight. I just saw it today.
okay.
And, it jogged my memory when, we're in this meeting now. So, and I can't find it. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, I will get in contact with my PGCEA rep and find out more information. So I will actually bring that back to our PCAG meeting, and I can just send it to Ms. Barton once I find out.
Yes.
Disperse that. So yeah, I will definitely get on that, because yes, my school actually also became a community school. So I think Ms. Smith, Chair Smith, you actually might be coming to my school next on the 12th. I think that's where the meeting's held. So I look forward to meeting you in person as well.
That's exciting. Okay, thank you. So no oversight. This is perfect timing, but I just wanted to make sure if, we can get as many members to participate and provide some input, how we work better as partners and while they're negotiating or working to begin negotiating for some of the things that they need to make sure we are meeting the needs of students.
Absolutely. Thank you again for bringing that up. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. Thank you for bringing it up. I saw it come across my thread as well today. So yeah, it's probably fresh off the presses. All right, Muriel, as far as next steps, our next scheduled meeting is scheduled on January 1st. And as we all know, that is a holiday. So can you advise when we can have our next session? If you have a date, could we put it out here now to see if folks are available?
Let
Is
me double
Muriel
check.
still
Yes,
there?
I'm
It would be
still.
the 8th.
Yeah, I believe it was already scheduled for the 8th because I realized that the 1st is a holiday. Let me
Oh,
just, I want to look up one thing to be sure.
okay.
Yeah, I have it, Miss Barton, as the 8th on my
Yes,
calendar.
January 8th at
Mhm.
7 p.m. Yes.
Okay. Are there any concerns with us meeting on January 8th at 7 p.m.?
No.
All right,
No.
great. Hearing none. So our next meeting will be held on Wednesday, January 8th, 2025 at 7 p.m. via Zoom. I want to thank everybody for a great meeting this evening. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all of that good stuff. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Well, I think somebody, I can't put the motion out there. Can somebody put the motion out?
I motion, this is Vice Chair Millhouse, that we adjourn the meeting at 8:10 p.m.
We
Ms.
have a
Lundy, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome. The meeting is adjourned. I hope you all have a great evening. Thank you.
You too. Have a blessed one.
Everyone, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Chair Smith, can you call me, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Fitzpatrick? Are you still there, sir?
I think it still says you're recording.